Good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Hack. And I had a viewer send in a game and ask if I would analyze it. And I said, maybe. But you know what I'd rather do? I would rather teach you guys how to analyze your games. Because if I analyze all the games that you send me, I get better. And I want you guys to get better. I did this maybe 15 years ago. I started a thread on chess.com called Submit Your Game for Expert Analysis. And people submitted games to the thread for probably 2 years straight. And I would just pick a game and I would go and take my time and put my notes on it. And then I would submit it back to them on the thread. And I'll put a link to that in the description in case you'd like to look and see that history. But I think I got very good at analyzing games because I just did it a whole bunch, And I'd like to pass that experience on to you here. So how do we analyze a game? So first thing we want to do is we want to put it into a place where we can see it with a database behind it. For example, on Lichess in a study with the database open. And we do that because we want to know the moment when the game leaves book. Now, if you already know when the game left book because you played it, that makes this part a whole lot faster. But I'm just going to look at the games in the bottom corner here, and I'm just going to go forward until that number gets very, very small. It's down at 63. That's not small enough yet. 48, still a lot of games. 46, 4. So this moment here, this game, and this move that Black played, not very widely used. And I think this is the moment where we've left book. Okay. Now we want to know from this moment on, the other end of the other bookend that we're looking for is the first place where somebody makes a big mistake. An egregious error, so they call it. Because, think about it this way. Let's say you were a chess master. Put yourself into that person's shoes. And you're playing against somebody and they make the first mistake. Should you be able to take advantage of that first mistake and then get ahead and win the game? Yeah, probably if it's big enough, right? And if you flip that script, if you're the one making the mistake against a chess master, are they going to figure out how to take advantage of that big mistake and then get ahead and win the game? Probably, right? So in order to improve our very early game between book and between the first mistake, we just want to look at the moves there. There may not be that many. We can figure out how to improve each one of them. So let's figure out where that mistake is in this game. Now, I am old school. I'm going to look with my eyes first. You may be our new school and you have a better way to do this with a computer. Perhaps. Okay, so I already know that's a tiny mistake, not a big one. And the reason why I know that is we have a symmetrical pawn structure. The pawns all have a pawn across from them. And especially these two, right? There's a pawn across from each one of those pawns, which means there is no way by themselves these pawns will ever get an advantage against those pawns. Not a chance. So this game, because it's symmetrical, is going to be more about piece play than it's going to be about pawn play. And the more time you waste moving pawns, the more you're going to get behind in this kind of game. So that's a small mistake. We're not going to stop there. That's not big enough. It's another small mistake. That's a good move. White's playing brilliantly, by the way. This is what you should be doing in a piece play game, is getting your pieces going. Another small mistake for Black. So he's kind of nickel and diming himself to death here, this player. He's just probably behind by a pawn, maybe more at this point because of all the pawn moves he's made. Just out of curiosity, right? It's a lot more than a pawn. We haven't seen a big mistake either yet, right? Let's keep looking. Okay. And I think we actually should probably stop here. Because what this move is called, to me, in my brain, is a committal move. White has made a move where if he's calculated it correctly, he's ahead. And if he's miscalculated, he's behind. And I don't think there's many in-betweens there. This pawn is in trouble if it's unless it's not in trouble, and then it's not. Didn't say that very well, but hopefully you got it. So we were looking at this moment, and we're trying to figure out whether or not white's actually ahead. And the way I would do that, I guess, is I would say if it's black's turn to move again, does he have a threat? What's he doing? And I betcha that he could win this pawn. Bet you he could take it because he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces attacking it, and white only has 1, 2, 3 defenders. Okay, that's enough to win the pawn. So white has to do something about this pawn. Now the move that I would like to play if I were white is that one. And the reason I would like to play that move is it's a symmetrical game. And if this bishop can't get out, then this rook also can't get out. And we're playing a piece play game where black's behind by 2 pieces because he can't use them. Now we have to ask the question, can we get away with that? And I'm not sure we can. There's something going on here with this pawn. Because you see we've got a piece here and a piece here. That's 2. We've got 2 defenders. And if he removes those defenders, which he can do, maybe he can win this pawn. The knight will move. We'll take the pawn. So I don't know whether or not we can get away with that. I'm going to say probably not. I don't want to lose material. So in that case, we're going to have to either take the pawn or make a counterattack of something bigger than the pawn, which is what he did in the game. How about that? A3, that's a nice move. Because think about what just happened there in that last line that we looked at. He played B4, and that's what caused this to become weak. So by playing A3, we've actually made this possible. That's really good. Wow. Well done. Okay, so he's going to have to take the bishop. There's nowhere else for the knight to go. And now our threat is D6. He must do something about it. He must, right? And I'm not sure that he can. I think that black's in a lot of trouble here. And the move that he played was not good enough. We could play D6 and we'd be extremely far ahead. Right? Extremely far ahead. The computer's not even doing it justice here because of how difficult this is for black to play. Down material kind of in a symmetrical game. Not really down material, just on the sidelines. Okay. Good. So we know that this is maybe good for white then, this D5 move. So from here, now that we've discerned that, now we can work backwards, improving black's game. We don't want to improve white's game. White did really well. We want to improve the other guys. And that will make us better to understand why his moves were bad and what we can do to improve them. So what we should do here is we should go backwards. And we see that this move was a problem. So maybe black should play D5. And I want to say that I think that probably white is still the same amount ahead as he was a minute ago. Because it's a symmetrical game and he's got better pieces and they're developed better. So we'll say that white's still ahead here. And we can verify that, right? We want to see if this position after D5 was better for black than the position without D5. Okay, so plus 1.8. And where was the other one? Oh, knight F6 was the other one. 2.5. So I would say that this is a little bit better for black than the other. Okay, so we found a little improvement, but I think we're going to find a bigger improvement when we don't play H6. Because imagine if we do this and white plays the bishop out. Is this better than what happened after we played H6 and D5? So let's check that. Now we're ahead 1 pawn for black, or for white. Now we're ahead 1.8 with H6, right? So again, I would say that after black plays D4 here, oof, maybe not. Maybe I stand corrected. It's about the same, plus 1.8, plus 1.8. Okay. So maybe the problem is not h6. Maybe the problem is knight to f6 then. And we want to try to improve that move. Right? Let's play this move instead. And we can check that one if we want to. That's much worse. Oh boy. We're just not having much luck for black here today, are we? Maybe the mistake was before this. I bet you it was. Let's go back a little bit further. And let's not play b5. And let's not play a6 either, because those two moves were both the slow ones. And let's look at this move now. And all of a sudden something's happened here that I'm able to appreciate, because I did a video on an opening called a Franco-Sicilian very recently. And in that video, this position came up. I've seen this before just recently. And it doesn't say the right opening here that I studied, but it's the same position. Because if we remember right, if black plays normal looking French defense moves, and so does white, the database starts to expand. It starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger with more and more games as they merge together. And I remember this. So black can do okay if he just develops very rapidly in the symmetrical structure. And now we know how he does better and why it works. And we get back to this moment, and we know that move 5, black can already improve by just playing d5 and switching into the Franco-Sicilian. How amazing is that to come full circle? Wow. You know, the only thing left to do is to verify. And the way that you do that is you go in the database and you pick one of these games and you say, we know that was a bad move. How did white take advantage of it? And we insert that game. And we quickly flip through those moves. He played d5 immediately. Look at that. And now we've learned something with white, that d5 is actually a move that we should play as early as we can in this one. And we go through and we see this game is only 18 moves long. This chess master got minied. Anything under 25 moves, that's too bad. I would go so far as to say that's the rough way to lose if you're a really good player. You'd like to think you could survive, you know. And I bet you this pawn's going to queen on d. It looks like it's it looks like there's a lot of tactics. And why is there a king on f8? The world will never know. And there goes the pawn with check. He sacrificed his queen for checkmate. What a game. What a game. Wow. This highlights the fact that it was a piece play game, doesn't it? Wow. I hope this helps somebody. You guys enjoy. Have a good evening. Take care. Bye now.